The Nigerian Democratic Congress is quietly emerging as the biggest beneficiary of the fresh wave of defections from the African Democratic Congress. This comes as prominent members of ADC continue to abandon the party ahead of the 2027 general election. The development followed the recent exit of former presidential candidates Peter Obi and Okonkwo, who both defected on Sunday. Analysts attribute the defections to the race to beat the Independent National Electoral Commission's deadline for party primaries, which is scheduled between April the 3rd and May 30th, 2026. While ADC chieftain Kenneth Okonkwo joins us now to have a conversation. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Thank you very much for bringing me, and thank you, viewers, for joining in.
Well, let's begin with the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, mocking the ADC when about 17 lawmakers defected. According to him, the ADC is dead. How would you react to this?
Well, I will react to it very simply. The only dead institution in Nigeria is the National Assembly that is supervised by the dead Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. I wonder how a man that does not have the breath and the balls to confront and check and balance the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that approves everything that is brought to his table, even if it is borrowing Nigeria into slavery. You can imagine a man who is oversighting the President, who has 3 budgets running at the same time, doing all things illegal and unconstitutional, and he does not have the life in him to talk about the governance of Nigeria. And what he knows how to talk is to talk about ADC. Let me tell you, sitting in front of him are 8 members of ADC, 8 senators. They are still the number 2 in the National Assembly. How can such a progressive, prosperous party be regarded in any ramification as dead? The only thing that is dead there is the National Assembly under Senator Akpabio. So we are alive, we are well, we are kicking, and we are going to form the next government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because we will win the 2027 election. The coalition is well, and it is moving smoothly, and we will overcome.
And you were once a very fierce defender of Peter Obi. Now that he's exited the ADC ecosystem for another coalition, exactly, do you feel his departure was a betrayal of the Third Force movement? Or do you see it as a pragmatic move that you secretly admire?
Oh, well, you recall that when I said I wasn't going to speak for him again, I said I will not speak for a man that I don't understand his position on important national issues. I say I will not speak for a man who, even if he wins and Nigerians give him his vote, he does not have what it takes. He does not have the capacity to even secure his own victory. So the issue of saying whether the coalition will be affected, the coalition will not be affected in any way. Peter Obi, within 6 months, changed parties 3 times. You could recall, since he defected to NDC, I've not taken it as anything serious or anything relevant to bother myself. Because by December 30th, he was a member of Labour Party. By December 31st, he was a member of ADC. By May 3rd, he is a member of NDC. I am sure, if not for the restriction in the Electoral Act, before the close of the registration or the membership time, I'm sure he will be a member of another party. That is his nature. But let me say it, changing parties is not what questions your capacity, your competence, or your character. It is the reason that you adduced for changing the party. Peter Obi said, I don't have a problem with David Mark, meaning he didn't have a problem with the ADC. He said, I don't have a problem with Atiku Abubakar, meaning he does not have any problem with the aspirants. Then what is the reason he gave? He said, I don't like challenges. I don't like trouble. ADC is going through challenges, legal and otherwise. And I like to run away to where there is peace, to where there is no trouble. And I now ask, how can this same man ask Nigerians to entrust Nigeria in his care when Nigeria is the most challenged country in the world today? Nigeria is both physically and mentally challenged in all capacity. Nigeria is the fourth most terrorized nation on earth. Nigeria has borrowed itself to bankruptcy. Nigeria, as I'm talking to you, the bandits tie people on the tree and put fire under them to burn them in Kwara, in Kogi, in Niger. So how can a man who says running away from challenges be able to face the challenges we are facing in Nigeria today? I am sorry. The P2B's temperament and his capacity is incompatible with the requirement of Nigeria of today. So the ADC cannot possibly be missing anything. Recall that before he came to ADC in December 31st, his political career was already dead. He was losing his polling unit in his own state by the gubernatorial candidate that he chose by himself. Recall that even when one member of the House of Assembly of Labour Party died, they fielded his widow to know whether they can get the sympathy of the people. But because of the rejection of Anambra people to Peter Obi's leadership star, they still voted against the innocent widow. So recall that before he entered ADC, his political career was already dead. So dead that he could not even enter ADC from his own state, Anambra State. He entered ADC from Enugu State, my own state, where he believed that the toxic on the toxin will not overwhelm him. So ADC actually gave him a lifeline. P2B needed ADC. ADC did not need him because we were already moving on without him. So when he came into ADC with his normal toxic followers, with their own penchant of not wanting democracy at the primary level or at the secondary level, obviously, I knew he was going to go. Let me reveal one secret to you. The first day I was consulted in this coalition, and that was before the unveiling, they asked me, so how is the possibility of ADC performing in the Southeast? I told them plainly and straight away, don't build anything on P2B because he's not going to contest under ADC because he will eventually leave. Why was I so sure? Because he's a man that has morbid fear for primary election. He has never been in one, and he will not be in one until he finishes his political career. He became a governor. He entered into primary election. He failed and lost to Ralph Mosu in Apga. And then he still managed to find the leaders to cancel that primary, and they still gave him the ticket. That was how he became governor. And so when he gave the reason of challenges, of course, he lied, because his main reason is that he does not want to face the primary election. And let me tell you another thing, because ADC was fully prepared to convince the whole world that P2B is not interested in democracy. When he came into ADC, he gave a condition that he should be allowed to produce the National Organization Secretary, National Organizing Secretary, NOS. And the reason he gave is that so that he will be the one to conduct the primary. And ADC said, fine, take. When we were doing the e-registration, P2B again and his followers asked to be in charge of the e-registration. And that was why they put my sister, Aisha Yusuf, to be in charge and Obi aid, so that all the members of ADC in the primary will be determined by P2B. And then P2B was to organize the primary. That was why you did not hear him say, this primary is dollarized, is monetized. That's the reason I'm going, because he was to be the one to organize the primary. Yet, he was still afraid of free and fair election. Not, of course, of zoning, because he went to even southern aspirants in order for them to step down for him. So he's a man who is afraid of free and fair primary election. So he left. Of course, I knew he was going to leave. And then ADC is moving on.
Allow me to interrupt you, for the sake of time. Now, you have said that it was the ADC that gave Mr. Peter Obi a lifeline. You said his political career was dead even before he joined the APC.
Was dead.
But some analysts, believe the continuous high-profile defection from ADC is due to the exit of Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwankwanso. Of course, they have their followers, they have the obedient movement, they have the Kwankwansia movement. So I'm wondering then what the ADC is doing to prevent more high-profile defections and how the exit, of this political heavyweights whom you might dispute it, but they do have their followers, and those followers would have benefited the ADC if they had stayed in the party. So what has been done to prevent more defections? How is the party planning to rally, from all these exits?
Well, first of all, let me even tell you that some people who even wanted to follow him are already coming back. I can tell you in Enugu State, for instance, that some people who went to follow them, the NDC in their own Congress that they wanted to conduct in Enugu State, their talks among themselves, who felt that they wanted to hijack their NDC and to leave them alone, went and scattered them. So some of them are already running back, trying to plead with ADC to accommodate them. What you're seeing is a fad. It will just do, a wave. It will just do, and it will die out. Naturally, some people from Anambra State, some legislators who believe that they needed an Obi to win, not that they want, not that they know he will win. They know he will not win. I will tell you what one Igbo elite, very brilliant, high person in the society, he comes on air and he talks well about Obi. So one day he met me and then he was telling me that, look, when we saw you in 2022, 2023 talking about Obi, you were so sincere. Then we knew that you didn't know him very well. We know that one day you will leave. I was shocked. He said, yes, because you're sincere. Then I said, why are you also talking about him when you know this? He said, why do I have to go and talk ill about him and get the backlash when I know he's going nowhere? So the truth is that all those people following him, they know he will not win. They know he cannot win. But within the little hut they are, they believe they could use his name to win, or Kwakwanso's name to win. That's why when you check all those people that defected, is Anambra, Kanu, then one or two other people that have become political orphans. Abaribe left ADC. He went to LP. He did not go to NDC. So the people that we lost from ADC, it is not all to NDC. A lot of them do not have confidence in the ability of their presidential aspirants to win any election for them. But they believe that within that locality, they might still manipulate their name to know whether they can win. And let me tell you the news. Most of them will lose. You should know that the Kwakwanso angle has lost relevance in Kano State, and they are simply trying to hold on to each other to know whether they can help each other regain political relevance. So you're talking about two major political aspirants that have lost relevance in their states, and they are trying to use a new thing to know whether they can rekindle their political fire to no avail. They are gone for 2027, and their wind has blown off their candle, and they are in darkness. Take my words for it.
Kenneth Okonkwo.
KO is not okay.
Kenneth Okonkwo, as poetic and fiery as ever, we thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. You left us with quite a lot to think about and laugh about as well. Thank you for joining us.